Hey, what's going on? What's up, everybody? Joe McCall here, Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. We got a good show today. We're going to be talking about the tsunami wave, and you can see my background. I got some waves going on in the background there. They're not tsunami waves, but they're waves nonetheless. Of what's crazy about this is motivated seller leads. So if you look at Google search volume, for trends and things like that, you'll see a huge increase or an uptick for the last 2 to 3 months of motivated seller search terms. Things like how to sell my house fast. People going to Google, the different search engines, and searching for those kinds of keywords. And I don't know if it's just been at historic lows and maybe it's coming back to normal now, but I've got a special guest on today. His name is Caleb Luketic, and I hope I got his name right there, but I heard him on a mastermind recently talking about these things, and I thought, man, this is really good. I want to get him on the podcast and talk about these things that people are seeing. And I put out a message on Facebook about this, asking people, hey, are you seeing the same thing? I don't do a lot of PPC myself. I wish I did. I've always looked at it as kind of overwhelming and intimidating, but Caleb has been doing PPC. When I say PPC, that means pay per click. People paying Google money or the other search engines, paying them money to show up in their search results for certain keywords, like how to sell my house fast and things like that. So anyway, Caleb has been doing this for a long, long time, and I wanted to get him on the show and talk about what he's seeing in terms of this increase in trends. And when I posted it on my Facebook, a lot of people were chiming in and responding back. Yeah, we're seeing a huge increase in leads from these motivated search terms. And we're also seeing a decrease in the cost per lead to get these things as well. So we're going to be talking about that. Maybe I'm totally off base. I don't know. Caleb will talk to us about it. But I want to also real quick talk to you about this podcast being brought to you by my brand new class called simplelandclass.com. And this is something I've been doing for a few years now, but we are also seeing an uptick in motivated sellers responding to our letters and buyers buying our properties and stuff like that. So we've been flipping vacant land for a few years now. And with my sons, my 2 teenage sons, and I've decided to create a course about it. And in the last month or couple months, and this course is really, really simple. I'm seeing tremendous results, a lot of success from students, faster than I ever have seen before in any other course that I've taught, which is super exciting. So if you want to get more information of how we're flipping vacant land, cheap rural vacant land, then go to simplelandclass.com. Basically, we're buying properties for $1,000, vacant lots out in the middle of nowhere, buying them for $1,000, selling them for $8,000 on Facebook. Super simple, something that you can do with your teenagers. If you don't have any, maybe your nephews or nieces or whatever, right? So check it out, simplelandclass.com. And you're going to learn in that real quick how I will pay you actually to complete the program, which is pretty exciting. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're looking to buy more land deals and we're looking to lend money on land deals as well. Cool. All right. So let's bring Caleb on. Caleb Luketic, how are you?
That's it, man. Joe, doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Good. I got your name right?
That's it, man.
Okay.
You nailed it.
So I heard you on a mastermind on Zoom that we're a part of a week or 2 weeks ago. And I said, hey, can I get you on the show? And you're traveling right now with your family. I think you're doing some virtual stuff on the road. Is that right?
Well, sort of. So we are building a house right now and living in a camper and have been for 6 months with a 3.5 and 1.5-year-old.
I can relate.
So our house actually will be done on Thursday here in a couple days. And so be super relieved to have a real house again. Very, 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 very nice. But
nice.
Yeah. So thus no Wi-Fi. So having to travel around because we bought 47 acres and dealing with Xfinity trying to come out there, run those lines, all that fun stuff. So it's been interesting running a digital marketing agency with no Wi-Fi. It's been kind of it's been a stretching season to say the least, but we've made it. So
I can totally relate because we've lived in our camper for 6 months before while we were looking for a new house. Well, we were traveling for 3 of those months and then spent the next 3 months looking for a place to live. It was a disaster. It turned out really, really well. But we had 4 kids in our little camper, and the youngest at the time was 3 or 4 years old, which was awesome, fun, and I can totally understand what you're talking about. And while we were traveling, I had 2 different hotspots. I had a Verizon and an AT&T hotspot, because when one would work, the other one wouldn't.
The other one,
and I was spending $400 or $500 a month on internet. I had maxed out all of the plans.
Done my fair share of hotspots. We have one right now that works. The T-Mobile home internet thing it actually does a decent enough job. It's not like amazing, but it works good enough. So
all right. Okay, so let's talk about this. You talk about what you do, and explain what Google PPC or search volumes and search trends and things like that are. Explain what you do first.
Absolutely. So basically, I run a marketing agency, and it's actually funny. I never set out to run one. Never happened. I started wholesaling back in 2015 and 16, and just was like, man, I'm tired of texting, hanging bandit signs, doing all of that stuff. I was like, how can I get leads coming to me, right? And SEO, PPC, just figured it out. And unbeknownst to me, many other people wanted that same thing. And here we are a handful of years later with about 200 people on staff, and just hit the Inc. 5,000 list a couple weeks back, and it's just kind of taken off. And so it's been a fun ride. So just to give everyone kind of the just general definitions here, and really the kind of key separators between what we do versus what a lot of other people do, and why it works so well, is this seller, this avatar of an individual is pulling out their phone, right? We all have one of these things, right? Everyone does. Even if you're 75 or 25, you've got a smartphone or a smart device of some sort. Well, just think about it, right? When you're hungry, you're like, man, I'm feeling like Mexican food. Okay, well, what do you do? Hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey whatever. Oh, and I said, hey Siri, and she's popping up. But you say, hey, where's the nearest Mexican food restaurant? Right, let's go find that. There's a leak in your roof. What do? You find a roofer by searching. No different when you just inherited a house 500 miles away, and you're like, the only people I knew were my grandma and people from her church, maybe. And like, I don't know, how am I going to sell her house? Well, you do search online just like you do everything else. And what's really, really interesting here, so there's 2 key kind of components, right? The organic side, or the SEO, search engine optimization. That's the organic stuff, right? Or the paid stuff, right? Pay to play, pay per click ads. And both of them are beautiful, because again, people are literally pulling out their phones being like, hey, got this house, I got to sell it. Right? As opposed to cold calling somebody, texting, and they're like, yeah, I'll sell my house for $1 million. And you're like, dude, come on, right? Like, you go through how many of those leads, right? Where these people, there is some sort of mode. No, is every lead just a grand slam? No, obviously. But you don't really get a lot of people asking for $1 million for their house, right? They're maybe a little bit over, but there something prompted them. Pull their phone out and search something. And that's really the biggest power move behind this. I mean, there's so many big national wholesalers and investors that are doing multiple 7, close to 8 figures. And sometimes some of those guys, they do one marketing channel, and that's it. PPC, and that's it. And they don't do anything else. And we could spend all day if that's a smart or not a smart thing to do, but it just is, right? It's what they are doing, and it's working very, very well. So that's really kind of how I got to where I'm at, man.
All right. So somebody searches, they go to Google, they just inherited a house. They're like, hey, how do I sell my house fast? Or they might even Google ugly house buyers because they see their billboards, right? They they Google house sell fast cash or whatever. And so a lot of investors pay a lot of money to be featured on the first page of Google, right? And a lot of these sellers will put their name and number on multiple different websites to try to get as many investors to call them as possible. So it's a game that you have to be really, really quick and on your toes with, because you can
Yep.
spend a lot of money. So it's been a great source of leads for investors who've got a lot of experience and got a lot of money they can pay for. But you mentioned some trends that you've seen recently.
Yep.
Where you're seeing these search terms go up higher, right?
Yeah. And this is hard to ignore, right? This isn't just something that, oh, well, Caleb thinks this or Joe thinks that. No, this is data straight from Google. Google says, here's data, do with it what you will, but here it is, right? I'm going to read some stuff off for you, for everyone, just to kind of wrap our brains around what's happening right now. So there's a few, now this is national, all over the US. There are a few main kind of keywords. Right? We've got sell my house fast, we buy houses, sell my house for cash, buy my house, we buy houses, all of those different keywords that are the most common search phrases. And little tidbit for you, the ones, the search phrases that convert to contracts more frequently are things that contain fast and cash. Those two words tend to, based on our data, and by the way, I mean, we're on pace to spend $10 million this year onto the Google Ads platform for all of our clients. So this isn't just me, again, Caleb thinks that, no, data tells me that those two words, fast and cash, tend to give better quality leads. But here's the stuff that's just, mind-blowing to me as we just get through this stuff. So just the keyword sell my house for cash. By the way, anybody, if you can fact check me on any of this, going to the Google Ads website.
Well, I went to, do you want to look at it right now?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So I went to trends.google.com. Is that a good place to go?
Yeah, that's another solid one. The one I typically go to and look at is signing into my my ads account, and then finding keyword planner and just typing in all of my stuff there, and it tends to bring up all of my keywords that I need with those different trends and different volumes there showing stuff. And I've actually got it here on my screen if we want to share it.
Yeah, can you share your screen there?
Yeah,
and by the way,
absolutely.
if I was gonna, I don't know even how to log into my AdWords account. And is it even AdWords? Is it because there's two kind of Google ad accounts?
Right. So it is ads.google.com is what it is. And so it used to be AdWords, and then it got changed to just ads, right? And so actually it's looking like, got to give permission. We can, if you want to, Joe, if you want, this can maybe quick Chrome.
Do I have to give you permission in StreamYard?
Well, no, I had to give permission on my computer. If you want, man, because I don't want to have to back out and leave here. What I'll actually do is, if you want, I'll actually shoot you over this screenshot of this, and you can share it. But I'm just going to read through some numbers right now for everyone to kind of just see and just kind of get this in their brains a little bit of kind of what's all coming through this. Over the last 3 months, so there's two key demographic or two key the data points that we look at when we're analyzing these trends of a 3-month change. So changes happening over the last 3 months compared to the previous 3-month period, and then year over year change. Those are the two main things.
And I'm gonna show the thing you just gave me here.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's just, I literally, as we're sitting here, took a screenshot onto my computer and sent that to you of what Google's showing me on my end, what we're actually seeing here. And it's something that's really, it's just really remarkable what is coming based on just people searching. I'm sure we've all seen the news lately of all the crazy things happening, but look at this stuff here. So this 3-month change, I just want you to just look at this. We're going to start at kind of the bottom here of those last three. Sell my house for cash, and then going down there. If you would go to the very bottom, those last three keywords there are really what I want to kind of hone in on.
Can you see it? Okay.
Yep, looks fantastic.
Okay.
Those are really a lot of these 6 are what we see kind of the most searched 6 keywords mostly out there. But what I really want to look at is that 3-month over 3-month change, right? Of those
Right here.
3 bottom keywords there. Sell my house for cash has gone up 23% comparing the last 3 months here. So what would that be, right? We're talking May, June, July, basically, versus February, March, April of 2022 here. It's gone up by 23% over the summer, 22% for people looking for home buyers.
Yeah.
People searching to buy my house, 21%. And even the more staggering change, look at the year-over-year change there.
Yeah.
People
300,
searching to
it's
sell my
up
house
315%. 315%.
315%, 235% for sell my house fast, 124% for we buy houses. People come and say, oh, PPC doesn't work, SEO, it doesn't work. I beg to differ, because look, I would agree if that was a negative 315% decline. If that was a 235% decline, yeah, okay, people aren't searching anymore. But it's very difficult to ignore that data.
So what we're seeing here, for those of you listening on the audio podcast, is these keyword terms: sell my house for cash is up 23% over the last 3 months and up over 315% year over year. Buy my house is up 21% in the last 3 months, up 53% in the last year over year. Sell my house fast is up 235% year over year. Explain this competition column here, Caleb. What does low mean?
Basically, that's just kind of the Google way, and that's kind of a, that column specifically is tough to nail down exactly. But that's just Google's best way of saying, what's your competition bidding for that keyword? Is there a small amount, a medium amount, or a high amount of people going after that stuff? And it'll also give you on the far right hand side kind of how much it's going to cost you to be at the top of the page on the low end and the high end, right? So you can see that sell my house fast is going to cost you per click, mind you, not lead, per click, somewhere between $26 and $98, based on what Google tells me if I'm targeting the whole US and going through that. Now, there's a ton of different factors, right? Time of day, how many people, the time of month, right? Have they spent all of their money in that month? Is that coming down? One thing I can tell you is targeting motivated sellers. That right-hand column is really what you need to focus on and look at of kind of your top of page, because we hit that high range more than anything and actually go over that sometimes. But for those of you guys that are like, man, I don't know, it sounds kind of expensive, it's kind of whatever, I'll be honest with you. Pay-per-click is a pay-to-play system. I'm going to share some numbers with you guys to see, okay, this is realistic and attainable to go get this stuff and do it. It's actually not as wild as you think it is. Because yes, don't get me wrong, we've got clients spending, almost 6 figures a month on stuff. So don't get me wrong, like there are guys spending that. But we've also got guys that are spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month that are just as consistent, still doing fantastic. Here's some key core numbers that you guys need to just know going into your pay-per-click campaign. You're going to spend money. You just are. The average cost per deal that we see our clients, be at is somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000 per closed transaction. Somewhere in that range. Now, there's a lot of variables there, right? How fast are you to get that person on the phone and talking to them? Are you offering just cash? Or can you do sub-2 owner finance, creative options, novations, other things like that, right? Can you do those things? Those that can it takes less leads to close a contract, right? So there's tons.
And then the other thing is follow-up, right? How much follow-up do they do?
And follow-up, right? And that's 85%. And now this is a Caleb opinion, right? But 85% of transactions are done in your follow-up. There's a very small portion of things that guys on the Closers Olympics are one closing guys. Yeah, it's to look at and watch and do, but that just doesn't happen every single day. It just doesn't. It's just not how that goes, unfortunately. So you got to be following up. You got to be pressing in and talking to these people over and over and over. But those are your numbers. And here's the average wholesale fee profit from PPC it's about $25,000 is what we see from our clients telling us this. Hey, we're averaging about this. Guys that are in Washington, D.C. or Seattle or L.A. with much higher inflated home values, they're more in the $50,000 to $70,000 range, but it's also a bit more expensive for them to acquire that same house. But still, right? If you're putting $1 in, you're getting $3, $4, $5, $6 back out. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not stopping that, right? It's just not.
This is important to understand too. You need fewer pay-per-click leads to close a deal than you do pretty much any other type of lead, right?
Exactly.
Because you're dealing with a seller who's is motivated, who's typing in these words: sell my house fast, sell my house for cash. And so you may need like 30 direct mail leads to do one deal, but you might only need 10 or 15 Google PPC leads to do the same deal, right?
And those are basically your numbers. We've got a couple of clients that take between 6 and 8 leads per contract. It's definitely out of the norm, not usual. It's not your average. That's your kind of best case. Like they are the outliers for sure.
Sure.
Most people are in that 10 to 15 leads per contract range. So just do your math and figure it out based on what's going to, how much money is going to take me to get a house, right? So again, just basic math here. Average cost per lead is somewhere between $250 and $400 for one metro. Gets cheaper as you go after states and multiple states and expand out. But so again, 10 leads at $300 a pop. It's about $3,000. You're going to need $3,500 to get one house. You're able to know. That's why PPC. You see guys, the Nick Perrys of the world out there that are PPC is their only channel, and they're spending 40, 50, 60 grand a month or more because they know their numbers. Hey, it takes us this many leads to get this many contracts, make this much money, and it's just okay. Now let's spend more. And that it's a very repeatable process there because again, we're not moving away from these things. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, it might change. We might be able to search inside these things or whatever, right? But that search feature is not going anywhere, and that's why it's such a scalable method.
Yeah. So then over the last 3 months, we've been seeing a big increase in the search volume. People's looking for these words. So what does that mean? Does it mean the cost per leads are coming down, or investors just getting more of these leads? What are you seeing there?
Yeah. So really what we're seeing is that investors are just getting more leads. In some cases, the cost per lead is going down. Some cases. But really what I anticipate and what we're seeing happen already is that it's more of just, hey, that your cost per lead's going down a hair, maybe $20 to $75 nothing, astronomical where it's cutting in half, right? But you're shaving off a little bit. Really just that volume is there's more volume, number one, and the quality of those leads are going up. Because what we saw a lot from about May 2020 to about January, February of this year, a lot of people were filling out forms, but the motivation levels just weren't, fantastic, right? Equate that to whatever you will, right? The reasons why we can sit here all day long and speculate, about why. But again, it's just that's what we saw, and now all of a sudden there's some motivation there again. And so that's really, it's just higher quality and higher volumes of those same leads. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Okay. So how does this compare to, because we've been on a kind of like a, what is it, bull or bear? I always get it mixed up. A bull market in the housing market for the last 5 to 10 years, right? So how does the search volume that we're seeing now compared to what we were seeing 5-7 years ago? Are we coming back to more of a normal search terms trends?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a couple of things. The search volumes are up still, right? So if we compare kind of the good years, if you will. Now, Google data only goes back to either 2013 or 2014, right? So that's as far back as they're going to go on stuff.
Okay.
But as we look at that, kind of those, 16, 17, 18, those were like really good, solid years where the cost per leads were low, lots of volume. It was a really solid time. Those times right now, we're actually seeing more search volume than we were then. So what that leads me to believe is that there's a bit more of a need, again, there's a variety of reasons why. There's a bit more of a need for people. There's something pushing them to reach out and hey, I need to sell. Not I want to sell, but I need to sell. So those volumes are certainly up. Now, what we see in terms of cost per acquisition, right? The cost to get a contract is compared to then and now. Well, now it's just going to be a bit higher, just because people found out, right? All of a sudden, people were like, PPC, well, what is that, right? And guys that we were doing it back in 2016, 17, 18, there really wasn't a lot of competition, and it was just like open season. I mean, it was just picking deals up left and right. And so that cost is still going to be up there, but definitely the volume is higher today, right now. This is an opinion, a prediction. I think that search volume is going to continue to increase. It's trending up. It's going to be difficult to ignore.
If you look at this is, I'm trying to make my screen big here. This is Las Vegas. And I went to look at all the homes for sale. And I went down here to price reduced in the last day. 312 homes in Las Vegas have reduced their price in the last day.
24 hours.
Now, let me change this to in the last 3 days. 537 homes in the last 3 days have reduced their price. Now, that could be a $10 price decrease, or it could be more. Let's look in the last, how many homes in the last 30 days? Let's do 7 days next. 1,854 homes in the last week have reduced the price. Now, I don't know if I could sort this by, well, it's sorted by recommended. Let's look at this. How many have reduced their price in the last 30 days? 4,122 homes in the last 30 days. Time on Redfin. These are homes that have been on the market over 90 days. There's 403 homes that have been on the market over 90 days in Las Vegas and have also reduced their price in the last 30 days.
Wow.
That's a lot. And those are numbers you did not see 6 months ago.
No. I mean, we were talking, like single digit numbers. Crazy to see. And that right there is my belief of why we're seeing some extra motivation. Because people, they're realizing that the market's cooling off and they're trying to sell before things kind of drop, right? Everyone's all, afraid of what's going to come and happen and all these things. It's very intriguing to see that data that you just pulled up there, Joe, versus what I just had shared. And, we can see that the Google search volume is going up. It's, again, we get sit here all day as to why and figure out the reasons why. But it's just happening. It just is, right? That data is. And so what are people going to do with it? Well, you've got a choice to kind of make, right? Is, are you going to kind of take this and run with it and make better educated offers too, right? Because now all of a sudden, how many hedge funds have you guys seen back out on houses last second? I've seen a lot of them. It's happened to myself. People are pulling back. So it's just going to shift the way that we as investors have to make offers on properties with this data, knowing this. That very soon, hopefully, we're going to be back more toward the buyer market side of things. So we get to kind of cherry pick the houses that we want. And so, all in all, I see this as a very exciting thing.
Yeah, there's 1,484 homes that have been. I removed the price reductions. There are almost 1,500 homes in Las Vegas that have been on the market over 90 days. Over 3 months. Now, maybe that's normal, but okay, but it hasn't been normal the last 2 years. Maybe the historic average, that's normal. We were coming from maybe an average of 30 days on market to maybe now it's 60, 90 days on average on market, which is more normal. But things are definitely changing. And so the whole point of what we're saying here is that sellers are getting nervous, and they're starting to lower the price. They're worried now that they're going to miss the boom. And so they're worried that, man, it's going to be harder to sell my house. I need to lower my price as quick as possible, hoping that they would get 450. Now they're okay if they get 425. They're okay if they get 400, but they need to hurry up and drop their price to get it sold before it gets any worse.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's
crazy.
What we're seeing.
So
a lot of it.
This is also why it's important to understand creative financing, I think, too, because when you're a seller before, if all you had was a cash offer, it's going to be hard to do a deal. But now if you have multiple options that you can give to a seller, where you can maybe tell the seller, I can still get you that price that you need if you're willing to carry some financing, or let me take over your mortgage or lease the property for a little while first. Yeah, there's still a lot of opportunity with that. Cool.
Tons. And that's why, again, a lot of our clients that go through that stuff, those that can do that creative stuff, it takes less leads for them to get a contract. And just, the more solutions you can offer a seller, the better your numbers are. So.
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to ask you then is, like, what are you seeing as best practices for investors who want to do PPC, because they're seeing, okay, now I might, if I was before was ignoring pay-per-click, but I'm looking at doing it now, and they start doing their own ads, or they hire an agency like yours. What are some of the best practices that you see investors doing who are doing PPC to get the most bang for their buck, to get the most leads for the dollar, to close the most deals? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually pretty simple. Number one, it starts with spending the appropriate amount of money, right? So we'll talk about that. You're going to need, right, at minimum right now in today's market, somewhere between about $2,500 and $3,000 per month to be spending on PPC to be effective. My logic there, hey, if it takes about that to get one house, why would I spend any less than it takes me to average one deal per month, right? It just doesn't make sense. Now, if you want to go spend $1,000, just be prepared. It might take 3 to 6 months before you get one deal locked up. It's just going to take time. So that's one side of it. But the most important part, I think, is really the follow-up and the system you have. The best system, the best CRM is the one that you use, right? It could be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be, again, the best CRM is the one that you actually use. Yeah. And so what I see a lot of people make mistakes about is that I can't tell you how many people have come to me. Hey, Caleb, we're doing okay. Your marketing kind of stinks. We don't lead quality's Okay, like let's dig into this a little bit more. I just asked them some questions. How quickly are you calling these leads? Well, usually within 2 to 3 hours. Hours? No. Minutes, seconds even. You need to be under 3 to 5 minutes when that lead comes in. Because again, just like Joe, you said it, right? People are going online, they're filling out form 1 and form 2 and form 3. You want to call them and stop them from filling out other forms to have a conversation with you. You do that, you can take people off of the market. I can't tell you how many people, my real estate operation, they say, oh yeah, you're the first one to pick up the phone. You're the first one to speak with me. You're the first one we're having a conversation with. Why? Because our systems are built in such a way that we stop the seller in their tracks from going and filling out other forms, because all they can think about is me, my company, our stuff. It's all that they can see. So again, whether it's you physically doing it yourself or having some automations or a VA, whatever that system is, you've got to have that, speed to lead, if you will, right? You've got to be fast at that, because if you're not, good luck. You're not going to have as much success as you could on your own. So really, those are the big two things, right? Your spend and your systems, right? And your processes to get to that lead fast. Those are the two things that you can prepare for. Say, do I have those things in check? You know, if you're doing texting, mail, bandit signs, whatever that marketing channel is, go and assess that. Say, how quickly am I talking to these leads? Is it under 5 minutes? Is it 2, 3, 4, 5 hours? Assess that. Work on that first. Get those processes down in your bit cheaper marketing methods to figure that out before you take that next leap up. Because I'll tell you this right now, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, PPC sucks, it doesn't work, it's this, because they've taken the wrong approach. They haven't gotten those systems and those processes down of how they need to speak to those leads. And now all of a sudden, they're turned off by a channel that could make them millions of dollars with the right systems and processes and the desire, if you will, to just talk to those leads. So those are the biggest things.
Nice. I'm looking here. This is just crazy. Looking at some of these price drops in the St. Louis area, and I'm starting to see, you just start clicking through these, open door brokerage selling these properties. So these big hedge funds now, I don't know what's going on. Are they panicking? Are they freaking out? But they're starting to sell their inventory, and they're the ones taking a lot of the aggressive price cuts. I'm seeing,
and honestly, those are the ones that were setting the comps too, right? They were setting all those high comps and driving the prices up. And that's what was, and so, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it too. Over the last few days, we've seen hedge funds taking, you know, one was 1.7 trillion of a loss, and just staggering, eye-popping numbers that you're like, man, you know, it's just crazy. So it's interesting. We all think we're going down. It's just, we're going down, but kind of back to normal, right? Like we're going back to some normalcy a little bit.
This is insane. I'm looking here at this one property, Open Door bought. Well, okay, I need to find a better example. Open Door bought this home in 21. So August of 21. It's not even been a year yet. They bought this home. Who knows? I can't tell what they bought it for because it's not recorded for some reason, but they're already selling it for 263 grand. I could dig into it and find it, but why would they be selling a home that they just bought? And you know what they were doing with these? They were renting them out. And so who knows what, I can't see a price history on this, but anyway.
Well, we're seeing that a lot. I mean, we're seeing a lot of those houses come back on from those, the Wall Street money, you know, that they're starting to offload some of these houses because I think they were starting to realize that, you know, they overpaid on some stuff.
Oh, here it is.
Good for the seller, I guess.
Here it is. They bought it. Oh my gosh. They bought it for $260,700. This particular house I'm looking at, this is a good, solid neighborhood. They bought it for $260,000. They listed it 4 or 5 months later for $283,000, and they've dropped the price down now to $263,000. So they're going to sell this thing at a loss after you factor in commissions and holding costs, carrying costs. I don't know if they put any work into it. It was pending. Oh my gosh, this property, since they first listed it, has been pending 1, 2, 3, 4 times. They did, and then they changed realtors. So it's gone pending and fallen through 4 times because of rising mortgage interest rates or whatever, buyers backing out. Open Door didn't do a good job fixing the house up, inspections, too much, you know. So things are changing. Things are, which is good for investors. May not be good for the rehabber, although I'm talking to rehabbers, Caleb, that are still doing well because they're coming into, they're doing good, solid rehab work, and they're pricing their properties aggressively. But I'm worried about these investors that are buying, they're trying to rehab on the higher upper end, hoping to sell these things as quick, was counting on appreciation. Didn't have multiple exit strategies, only had one exit strategy. But okay, so but on this, we're talking about PPC, we're talking about Google. Caleb, somebody who's like, oh man, this is cool, I want to get into this. I want to start learning either how to do PPC on my own or how to hire an agency to do it. What do you recommend? What do you tell those folks?
Yeah, so really, I mean, we can help on a lot of those different factors. We actually teach people how to do their own ads. We can do it for them. If you don't, if you're like, hey, I'm kind of brand new at this, and you go to YouTube and start to learn some stuff and practice some of those things. I recommend for folks that are like, I'm kind of worried about that spending that money. Go learn SEO, the search engine optimization side of things first, because you can just invest your time into that. You don't have to invest dollars yet. You don't have to pay anyone for it. It's a really strong method. That's how I got started. I still have a website that, it produced 6 contracts in June. Spent $0 on the marketing side of it. It's a phenomenal strategy to get into with just your time. But if you guys have the funds and you're ready and willing to do PPC, here's really the things I would challenge you with to go and either, if you're going to find somebody to hire, go find somebody who knows what they're doing. And not just PPC. I'm talking about knows motivated sellers. Because here's a couple of one keyword that people waste a lot of money on: home buyer. That's us as investors. Also, first time home buyer programs, loans, etc. You don't think of those things. You're going to waste hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars on. If you just have a regular Joe coming in to run your ads, they're not going to know what that is because they don't have the knowledge of the real estate market. So you want to find somebody that's got that knowledge, that's done transactions, and is either has done or is actively doing them. It's going to save you guys thousands. But if you guys want to chat seriously, if you guys have any questions, I'd love to talk to everyone and just to give as much advice and value as I possibly can. The good news is I'm the only one of me in the world. CalebLuketic.com. You can go find my stuff there, but literally, you search me on social media, anywhere, I am literally the only Caleb Luketic in the world. Can't find anybody else with anything else, just me. So it's hard to not find me.
So I put the link there, Caleb Luketic, cool. CalebLuketic. And I like what you said there. Somebody who's just getting started, they don't have the money yet to maybe hire an agency. You can learn almost anything you want to learn on YouTube when it comes to SEO and doing PPC. And somebody was asking in the comments, what is PPC? It's pay per click. So are there some good channels you like to send people to, Caleb, or do you even do any of your own videos in your channels?
Yeah, so something we're trying to work on actually is getting some free content out there about this stuff. Like I said, we do have some paid coaching programs where we can teach people the SEO, the PPC if they want to do it on their own. Even actually find an employee, train an employee, and implement them into your company to run your SEO, PPC, all of that stuff. But again, go on YouTube. If you guys are like, I don't have the money to go and invest on stuff, dude, YouTube is such an incredible place and a community. And again, we are trying to add more value there. It's one of those things that's been on the agenda for a solid year now. We just haven't gotten to it yet. We're trying to by the end of the year here. But just do some research on that. There's tons of free channels out there that are going to teach you the basics. And as you get those down, you just begin to level up with experience as you go about things. But yeah, if you guys don't have a lot of money to invest in stuff, SEO is a phenomenal route to begin investing your time into. Fantastic. I started with literally, I didn't spend any money on stuff, except for the domain name and stuff, 20, 30, 40 bucks, right? Rest was just my time. And that time that I invested has produced hundreds of thousands in revenue year over year over year, and just compounding. Man, I will argue day and night that SEO is number one. It just is. What got data on data on data to show that. PPC is good, don't get me wrong, but SEO is where you get rich.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Matt Andrews in the house. What's up, guys?
What's up, Matt?
So real quick, we have just a few more minutes. If you have a question for Caleb, type it in here. We already answered this question. What is PPC? We're getting a lot of good comments. Very interesting. Good stuff. I like this. Scott, St. Louis University in the house. Here we go. I haven't worn this hat in a long time. It's one of my favorite hats. Any other questions we've got here real quick? And I'm probably going to wrap this up before the questions start actually coming in. But if you want more information on Caleb, here's the thing too. I understand you can go to YouTube and find information on anything. problem is you can find information on anything, and you can like actually get overwhelmed with 500 different ways to do something, and some of the videos may be old and outdated. Some of them may not work anymore.
Yeah.
So I've always recommended, investing in your education. Try to get the best course you can get on whatever it is that you're wanting to learn, whether it's Google pay-per-click or SEO, search engine optimization. So Caleb would be a good place to go to. I'd recommend going to his website right now, Caleb Luketic, Luke, like Luke, and then TIC.com. Check out his website, get some more information on that. So you have some courses, maybe some coaching programs, and you have an agency kind of where you do it for people, right, Caleb?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
We do all of it, man. Whatever anybody needs help with. Seriously, I don't sell people on stuff. I don't like that. What do you need? How can we help? And you just have some general questions. I'd love to chat. And actually, if you go to my website too, you can actually find free PPC and SEO guides of exactly pretty much a step-by-step process on how to do this stuff on there. There's no videos or anything yet, but it's just a good, hey, here's the best expectation setting of what to look for, what to do. Go and check that stuff out. So
nice. Well, thank you, man. Caleb, appreciate you. We'll see you all later, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys.